In the dim glow of a hospital room, where the steady beep of machines echoed like a heartbeat in the void, a young nurse named Elena dipped a soft cloth into warm water. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the quiet ritual she'd performed for months. The man before her, Alexander Voss, was no ordinary patient. He was a millionaire tycoon, his empire built on steel and ambition, now reduced to a silent shell in a coma. But as she gently bathed his still form, whispering words of encouragement no one else could hear, she had no idea that this simple act of kindness was about to unravel a miracle that would change everything. What if I told you that when he woke, the world wouldn't just shift for him, but for her in ways unimaginable? Stick around, because this story of hope, redemption, and unexpected love will grip your soul. And if it moves you like I know it will, smash that like button right now and subscribe to our channel for more heart-stirring tales that remind us why humanity shines brightest in the darkest times. Let's dive in. Elena Ramirez had always dreamed of healing the world, one patient at a time. Born in a cramped apartment in the bustling streets of New York City, she was the daughter of immigrant parents who scraped by on factory wages and unyielding faith. Her father, a quiet man with calloused hands from years of labor, had passed away when she was just 12, leaving her mother to raise Elena and her two younger siblings alone. Those early years were marked by sacrifice, meals stretched thin, clothes mended over and over, and dreams deferred. But Elena's spirit burned bright. She remembered her father's last words to her, "Mihija, the world is full of broken things. Fix what you can." That mantra propelled her through nursing school on scholarships and late night shifts at a diner, where the grace clung to her skin like a second shadow. Now, at 25, she worked the graveyard shift at St. Mary's Hospital, a towering beacon in the heart of Manhattan, where the wealthy and the forgotten alike sought solace. Alexander Voss, on the other hand, came from a world Elena could scarcely imagine. He was the heir to Voss Industries, a conglomerate that spanned real estate, tech, and philanthropy, though the latter was more for tax breaks than true altruism, or so the tabloids whispered. At 52, Alexander had built his fortune from nothing, starting as a scrappy entrepreneur in Silicon Valley, who turned a single app idea into a billion-dollar empire. But success came at a cost. His first marriage crumbled under the weight of his ambition, leaving him with a estranged daughter he barely knew. Friends, they were business associates who vanished when the deals dried up. And love, that was a luxury he couldn't afford. Then, one fateful night, a massive stroke felled him like a giant oak, plunging him into a coma that doctors deemed irreversible. His sprawling penthouse sat empty, his boardroom battles raged on without him, and his only visitors were lawyers circling like vultures. Until Elena, it started innocently enough. Elena was assigned to Alexander's private suite on her first night shift, a room that smelled of sterile antiseptic and faint cologne from the untouched bottles on his bedside table. The hospital was understaffed, as always, and bathing coma patients fell to the nurses, a task many dreaded for its intimacy and futility. But Elena approached it with reverence. "Good evening, Voss," she'd say softly, her voice a melody in the quiet room, as she adjusted his pillows and began the routine. The warm water cascaded over his skin, and she'd talk to him like an old friend. "You know, today I helped a little boy who fell off his bike. He was so brave, didn't even cry. Reminds me of my brother, Matteo. He's 10 now, wants to be a doctor someday." She shared her joys, the rare family outings to Central Park, the way her mother's empanadas tasted like home, and her burdens. Money was tight. Her sister, Sophia, needed braces and the rent was climbing. "Sometimes I wonder if it's all worth it," she'd confess, her eyes misting as she patted him dry. "But then I think of you, fighting in there somewhere. If you can hold on, so can I." Weeks turned into months, and Elena's care became more than duty. She noticed the small things, the way his fingers twitched slightly when she played soft jazz from her phone. His favorite, according to the sparse file on his nightstand. She'd read to him from dog-eared novels she borrowed from the library, tales of adventure and second chances that mirrored her own hopes. Colleagues teased her gently. "Elena, you're wasting your breath on a vegetable," Nurse Carla would say with a sigh, her own exhaustion etched in lines around her eyes. But Elena shook her head. "He's in there, Carla. I feel it." Deep down, she was fighting her own battles. Her mother had been diagnosed with early-stage diabetes, and the medical bills piled up like autumn leaves. Elena picked up extra shifts, her body aching from the strain, but she never complained. In Alexander's room, she found a strange peace, a place to unburden her soul without judgment. Meanwhile, in the shadowy depths of his coma, Alexander existed in a limbo of fragmented dreams. He heard her voice like a lighthouse beacon piercing the fog. At first, it was distant echoes, words about family, laughter, pain. But as days blurred, her stories wove into his subconscious. He dreamed of his own lost youth running through rain, slick streets as a boy, his mother, a single parent like Elena's, working 2 jobs to keep them afloat. He relived the betrayal of his ex-wife, the regret of neglecting his daughter Leela, who now lived across the country and rarely called. Elena's confession stirred something in him, a long-dormant empathy. Why am I here? He'd think in the haze, what have I built if it's all alone? Her touch, gentle and unwavering, became his anchor. He fought to surface, clawing through the darkness, her name on his lips even in silence. The hospital itself was a microcosm of drama, adding layers to Elena's challenges. Dr. Harlan, the lead neurologist, was a stern man with a God complex, insisting Alexander's case was hopeless. Resources are limited, Nurse Ramirez. Focus on patients who can recover. But Elena advocated fiercely, poring over medical journals in her scarce free time, suggesting experimental therapies that Harlan dismissed. Then there was Marcus, a fellow nurse and Elena's tentative love interest, a kind soul with dimples and a laugh that lit up the break room. He admired her dedication but worried, "You're burning out, Elle. Let someone else take Voss tonight." Their budding romance added sweetness to her days, stolen coffees and whispered encouragements, but it also highlighted her isolation. Marcus came from a stable family, and sometimes Elena felt the gulf between them. Her world of struggle versus his of quiet comfort. As winter blanketed the city in snow, Elena's life teetered on the edge. Her mother's condition worsened, requiring insulin that their insurance barely covered. Sophia's school called about unpaid fees, and Mateo caught a flu that kept him home for days. Elena's shifts blurred into exhaustion. She dozed off once during a bath, her head resting momentarily on Alexander's bed. "I'm sorry," she murmured, tears falling. I need a sign that it's all for something." That night, as she finished and turned to leave, a monitor spiked. Alexander's hand moved, not a twitch, but a deliberate grasp on her wrist. Her heart raced. "Monsieur Voss," she whispered, eyes wide. The room seemed to hold its breath. He woke suddenly, gasping, his blue eyes, sharp and piercing, locking onto hers. The miracle unfolded in chaos. Alarms blared. Doctors rushed in, Harlan barking orders. Alexander's first words, hoarse and broken, "Elena, thank you." The hospital buzzed with the news. A vegetative patient awakening after 6 months, defying all odds. But the true miracle was just beginning. As Alexander regained strength, he remembered everything, her stories, her kindness, the way she'd humanized him when the world saw only a comatose mogul. Tests revealed his stroke had been triggered by undetected stress, but his recovery was astonishing, attributed partly to the emotional stimulation from Elena's care, a theory Harlan grudgingly acknowledged. In the days that followed, Alexander sought her out. "You saved me," he told her during his first lucid conversation, propped up in bed with tubes still snaking from his arms. "Not just my body, but my soul." Elena blushed, waving it off. "It was my job, Mr. Voss." But he persisted, sharing his own vulnerabilities, the emptiness of his wealth, the regret over lost relationships. He learned of her struggles and, without fanfare, arranged for her mother's treatment at a top clinic. No strings attached. "Consider it repayment," he said with a wry smile. But it went deeper. Alexander reconnected with his daughter, Leela, inspired by Elena's tales of family bonds. He flew her in, and their tearful reunion in the hospital room. Hugs, apologies, promises, moved Elena to her core. Challenges arose, testing their budding connection. Tabloids caught wind, spinning salacious headlines. Coma, Millionaire's secret nurse affair. Elena faced scrutiny at work. Whispers of favoritism. Marcus, feeling overshadowed, confronted her. "Is this about him or us?" Heartbroken, Elena navigated the storm, realizing her feelings for Alexander were platonic yet profound. A mentor, a friend, perhaps the father figure she'd lost. Alexander, too, grappled with his new reality, vulnerability in a world he'd dominated. He sold off parts of his empire, funneling proceeds into a foundation for underprivileged healthcare workers, naming Elena as its ambassador. The resolution came in a poignant crescendo. On a crisp spring day, Alexander was discharged, walking out on his own strength. He turned to Elena in the lobby, the sun streaming through windows like a blessing. You bathed not just my body, but my spirit. You've shown me that true wealth is in connection, not currency. He handed her a check, not for pity, but for her dreams, enough to pay off debts, send her siblings to college, and fund her own clinic someday. But the real gift was his promise to mentor her, turning her into a leader in her field. Elena and Marcus reconciled, their love strengthened by the ordeal. She opened a community health center in her old neighborhood, where stories like hers inspired others. Alexander rebuilt his life with purpose, his foundation touching thousands. And in quiet moments, Elena reflected on that first bath, the act that sparked a miracle. As our story closes, remember, in the quiet acts of kindness, miracles await. No matter how comatose your dreams feel, a gentle touch can awaken them. If this tale of redemption and hope has stirred something in you, like and subscribe now. Join our community for more stories that prove the human spirit is unbreakable. What's your miracle waiting to happen? Share in the comments below. Until next time, keep believing. Fade into the soft hum of hospital fluorescence. Our heroine, Elena Ramirez, steps into the frame of her life. A young woman with dark curls tied back, scrubs faded from countless washes, and eyes that hold the weight of unspoken dreams. But before we dive deep, imagine this: a world where one simple act of compassion shatters the barriers between stranger and savior. What if bathing a comatose millionaire wasn't just routine, but the spark of something divine? Hold on tight. This is a young nurse bathed a millionaire in a coma, but when he suddenly woke up, something miraculous. If you're already hooked, hit like and subscribe for more emotional journeys that leave you inspired. Now, let's begin. Elena Ramirez woke up to the blare of her alarm at 5 p.m., the sun dipping low over the New York skyline visible from her tiny apartment window. It was the start of another night shift, but today felt heavier. Her mother, Maria, sat at the kitchen table, sorting pills with trembling hands. "Mija, you look tired. Eat something before you go," Elena forced a smile, kissing her mother's forehead. "I'm fine, Mama. Just saving the world one patient at a time." But inside, worry gnawed at her. The diabetes diagnosis had come like a thief in the night, stealing their fragile stability. Bills stacked on the counter, and Elena's paycheck barely covered the rent for their two-bedroom walk-up in Queens, shared with her siblings, Sofia and Matteo. Sofia, 13 and full of fire, burst in from school. "Elena, can you help with my math homework later? And oh, the dentist said I need braces soon." Matteo, the baby at 10, tugged her sleeve. "Can we get pizza tonight, please?" Elena's heart ached. "Soon, guys. Promise." She hugged them tight, grabbing her bag and heading to the subway. The ride was a blur of faces, commuters lost in phones, a busker singing about lost love. Elena closed her eyes, whispering her father's words, "Fix what you can." It was all she had left of him. At St. Mary's Hospital, the night shift buzzed with controlled chaos. Elena clocked in, nodding to Carla. "Rough day?" Carla asked, handing her a coffee. "Always," Elena replied with a laugh. Her assignment board listed room 4202Z. "Alexander Voss, the coma guy." Carla whistled. "Be careful. His lawyers are sharks." Elena had heard the rumors. Voss was a self-made billionaire, stroke victim, comatose for months. No family visits, just occasional suits checking his will. Entering the room, Elena felt a chill. The space was luxurious. Private bath, leather chairs, monitors glowing softly. Alexander lay there, handsome even in stillness, salt and pepper hair, strong jaw, body maintained by machines and therapy. She reviewed his chart. 52, no allergies, persistent vegetative state. "Hello, Mr. Voss," she said, her voice steady. "I'm Elena, your nurse tonight. Let's get you cleaned up." She prepared the basin, warm water scented with mild soap. As she began bathing him, gentle strokes over arms, chest, legs, she talked. It was her habit, born from training that said comatose patients might hear. "You know, Mr. Voss, I grew up hearing stories about people like you, titans of industry. But I bet it's lonely at the top, huh? Me, I have my family, they're everything." Little did she know, in the recesses of Alexander's mind, her words landed like rain on parched earth. He floated in darkness, fragments of memories swirling, board meetings, champagne toasts, the crash of his divorce. A voice, soft, accented, pierced through. Family, everything. It stirred something. Days blended into a routine. Elena's shifts with Alexander became her sanctuary. She'd arrive, check vitals, then bathe him while sharing her life. Today, Matteo scored a goal in soccer. He's so proud. Reminds me of when Dad taught me to ride a bike. She'd adjust his position to prevent sores, massaging limbs with care. Colleagues noticed. "You're too invested," Marcus said one night in the break room. Marcus Thompson, 27, with warm brown eyes and a gentle demeanor, had been flirting with her for weeks. "It's just humane," Elena defended. "He deserves dignity." Marcus smiled. "That's why I like you, El. Want to grab breakfast after shift." Their first date was simple. Diner pancakes at dawn. Marcus shared his story, grew up in Brooklyn, parents teachers, nursing a calling after his grandma's illness. "You're amazing with patience," he said, reaching for her hand. Elena blushed. "Thanks. But sometimes I feel like I'm drowning." She confided in him about the bills, the fears. "Hey, we'll figure it out," he promised. Their romance bloomed slowly. Stolen kisses in supply closets, texts during breaks. But Alexander's room remained her confessional. One stormy night, as thunder rattled the windows, Elena bathed Alexander with extra tenderness. "Mama's sugar levels are high again. The meds are expensive. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up." Tears fell, mixing with the water. She didn't see his finger twitch. Alexander's inner world shifted. Her pain echoed his own regrets. He dreamed of Leela, his daughter, 28 now, living in LA, their last call, "Dad, you never have time." He vowed, in the void, to change if he woke. Hospital drama escalated. Dr. Harlan called a meeting. Voss's care is draining resources. Term. Elena protested. "He's stable," responding subtly. "Give him time," Harlan scoffed. "Sentimentality isn't medicine." Nurse. She researched at home, printing articles on coma stimulation, slipping them under his door. Subplot: Carla faced her own crisis. A divorce, custody battle. Elena supported her, swapping shifts. "We're in this together," she'd say. Meanwhile, Sophia rebelled, skipping school. "Why bother? We're poor anyway." Elena sat her down. "Education is our ladder out. Don't give up." Months passed. Elena's exhaustion peaked. One night, mid-bath, she collapsed into a chair, head on the bed. "God, if you're listening, send a sign." Alexander's hand closed on hers. Eyes fluttering, he whispered, "Elena." Chaos. Harlan arrived, stunned. Alexander awoke fully within hours, disoriented but alert. "We're who?" His gaze found Elena. "You." The voice. Recovery was swift, miraculous. Doctors credited luck. Alexander knew better. "Your stories pulled me back." He learned her name, her struggles. Quietly, he paid her mother's bills, arranged specialist care. But miracles bring trials, media frenzy. Nurses' touch wakes billionaire. Elena faced jealousy. Nurses whispering, Marcus doubting. "Is there something between you?" "No," she assured. "He's like a friend." Alexander reconnected with Leela. "Come home," he pleaded over the phone. She arrived, wary. In a tearful scene, they hugged. "I heard about the nurse," Leela said. "She sounds special." Alexander nodded. "She saved us both." Elena and Alexander bonded over talks. He shared his rise. Orphaned young, hustling. "Wealth blinded me." She inspired his foundation, scholarships for nurses, aid for families like hers. Climax: a gala for the foundation. Alexander announced Elena as director. "This woman bathed my body but healed my heart." Applause thundered. Marcus proposed later. "You're my miracle." In the end, Elena's clinic opened, helping thousands. Alexander found peace with Leela. Message: kindness awakens worlds. In every act of care, miracles bloom. Life's Comas. Emotional, financial. End with connection. If this epic tale of heart and hope resonated, like, subscribe, and share your stories. Miracles are everywhere. Go find yours.